Good morning. Good morning. Happy Thursday to each and every one of you. How are you today on this Thursday? I want to share with you the Cuba Gooding Jr. Case. It was delayed because of the pandemic, and it was pushed back. And he also had a different there was a different DA that was handling the case that wanted to give Cuba Gooding jail time. So it really worked in his favor to not have to have jail time. So, however, this is a case where there were women that came forward and said that he groped them. He basically violated them. He groped them forcibly without, they didn't give permission for him to touch them. So he pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor count of forcible touching on Wednesday. And now Cuba has been charged in connection to the groping of three women in New York in 2018 and 2019. And if I remember one of the cases correctly, there was a woman that said that he and they were at a bar, had a drink. He invited her up to her room or something like that. I mean, to his room, excuse me, up to his room. So I'm not sure if that's one of the women in this case. However, if he completes the terms of his deal, he won't have to spend any time in jail. Now, um, because he pled guilty to a misdemeanor, of a forcible touching. And this is ensuring that he wouldn't have to spend any time in jail over allegations that he inappropriately touched three women at New York nightclubs in 2018 and 2019, according to the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. Now, Cuba comes out and he says, according to the reporter Victoria B. Kempis, is that he apologizes for making anybody ever feel inappropriately touched. He's a celebrity figure and he comes in contact with people and he never wants them to feel slighted or uncomfortable in any way. Okay, and Cuba, just so you know, he's 54 years of age, so he's still in his early 50s so far. He hasn't made 55 yet. But the Manhattan Assistant District Attorney Colleen Balbert told the judge Wednesday that her office reached a plea deal after lengthy discussions with the accusers and Gooding's legal team. And she says, before we begin, Balbert said, I would just like to say that we fully credit and believe all of the survivors in this case and thank all of the women and other witnesses who cooperated with our office during the pendency of our investigation. The plea deal comes 3 years after Gooding was arrested after a 29-year-old woman claimed the actor squeezed her breast without her consent at the Magic Hour rooftop bar and lounge. Now, prosecutors eventually charged Gooding with 6 misdemeanor counts after 2 women came forward with similar stories. He had previously pleaded not guilty. If you all remember that, he pleaded not guilty and he denied doing any wrongdoing. Um, with his attorneys arguing that prosecutors were getting caught up in the Me Too movement and turning commonplace gestures into crimes, according to ABC News. Now, the Manhattan DA's office moved to admit 19 additional women as witnesses who said they had also been groped or forcibly kissed by Gooding. But the judge ruled that only 2 additional accusers could testify at the trial, New York Times reported. The trial languished in the courts for years due to the coronavirus pandemic, with the original trial date of April 2020 having to get postponed. That delay seems to have benefited Gooding, according to Fox News. Prior District Attorney Cyrus Vance Jr. refused to make an offer to Gooding that didn't involve jail time. Now, but when new DA Alvin Bragg took over the office in January, Gooding's legal team was able to negotiate a better deal that spared him having to serve any jail time. According to CBS News, if Gooding completes 6 months of counseling, the misdemeanor plea is automatically withdrawn and he can admit to a lesser violation of harassment. B. Kempis tweeted that a victim tried to speak about Gooding's cushy plea deal but was cut off by one of Gooding's attorneys. No, absolutely not, Judge, the attorney said, adding that the victim should not be allowed to make a statement for the rest of society. I agree with that. If you're a victim, you need to make your own statement. Nobody should come and make a statement for every single body. You have to do that at a women's conference or a sexual assault conference. Everyone needs to come forward and make their own statement. I do agree with that. Okay, impact statement. So Insider spoke with Gooding's attorney Frank Rothman following the hearing on Wednesday, who said his client is extraordinarily pleased and relieved with the deal. I think the DA's office did the right thing at the end of the day by agreeing to this deal, Rothman said. Rothman said he was brought into the case about 5 months ago when both sides couldn't come to an agreement, and he said that he felt the DA's office was being quite unreasonable at the time. After much wrangling and convincing and doing what we do, they agreed to a deal where he would admit to one of the charges that was never really in dispute. that he kissed the waitress on her lips, Rothman said. As to the victim who spoke in court on Wednesday, Rothman called her delusional and said she really needs help. She's not functioning in the real world. The kindest thing I can say is she's not a reliable historian. While there was some physical contact between them, it wasn't sexual in nature, it wasn't criminal, Rothman said. This is not victim shaming, Rothman added. She misrepresented what happened that night. She painted a twisted picture of the events that occurred. Gooding is also facing a separate lawsuit based on accusations he raped a woman in New York City in 2013. Now, I'm going to kind of say something about this, and I agree. We should be able to speak freely without being reckless, but speak freely about when women come forward and say that they have been assaulted, and things like that, or violated. We should be able to speak forward because we are entitled to our opinion without being reckless. And I agree with him, Rothman, saying that it's not victim shaming because a lot of times, and we have seen this, and let's be honest, we have seen women come forward after they didn't get what they wanted, after they had some type of unreasonable expectation of these celebrities and public figures. And when they don't get what they want or expect, then all of a sudden it's a violation in some kind of way sexually. And I do believe as women, we have to hold ourselves to higher standards and accountability for making sure that we protect ourselves without making decisions that's going to put us in situations. Now, I'm not saying that these women all put themselves in situations to, be violated. That's not what I'm saying, because he did plead guilty, and one of the accusers, the cases was never in dispute of what he did. And so he should be held accountable. But the accountability it lies with the court of law and the attorneys that are working on behalf of their client. We as people shouldn't get to decide, like the Me Too movement, what what a person that's facing charges should be given in the court of law. Because a lot of times we are seeing, and we have historically, we have seen women lying on men. Now, I'm not saying these women are lying, but there are some women that will make up stories and become delusional. Now, I mentioned this case, and I don't know which one it is, but I read an article some time ago about Cuba Gooding, and some women was in a bar, in a club, whatever, and she had a drink, and he invited her up to the room. Now, this is allegedly, from what I remember, allegedly, I'm going to say allegedly, but she said he invited her up to the room, and she said he did something. I don't know if it was the R word or assault. And so I'm going to say, I don't know what he did. But what I am going to say is, my question is, why would any woman go up to a room with a man that they really don't know? Just because you see this person in movies and on TV and at the Grammys and all that stuff does not mean that you know this person if you don't know them. It's easy to just say, no, thank you. I'll wait down here until you get back. But going up in rooms with men you don't know, and if you both been drinking, you don't know. You have to protect yourself, women, at all costs. And I'm saying that not to be victim shaming, but I'm saying that for you to empower yourselves so you're not getting caught up in situations that can put you at risk in any situation. And that goes for any woman, any man. So I'm not saying Cuba Gooding is a bad person because I've never met him. I've seen his movies. But what I am saying, as women, we need to hold ourselves to a different standard when it comes down to who we interact with and what we choose to do and what we choose to allow. And if the man groped someone inappropriately and stuff like that, yes, they should be punished, but according to the law, and it has to be reasonable. Because when you look back, a lot of black men gets more charges on them that are unreasonable than other races. And I'm going to say that, okay? However, um, again, I want to talk about this, this survivor, because I believe that Balbert, using the term survivor, they use this term so loosely these days. And they started using it with this Me Too movement and Time's Up and things like that. And they have these agencies, these groups in the colleges now on campus. And so what I'm saying is that my definition of a survivor is somebody that's been through, like if you were in a fire and you got out, even though you might have got burned on your body real bad, but you still are a survivor. You might have had to have multiple surgeries and things like that, but you're a survivor. Let me tell you something. I'm a survivor, and when I say that, I was burned very bad and on my hand and my thigh as a 3-year old, but I survived that. My hand, actually, I had several surgeries. I've had several skin grafts, and I'm just sharing that people that have probably seen me because I do come out on live, but I'm just saying that's being a survivor. If you've been raped before and you live through it, that's a survivor. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said the R word, but I'm just saying if you were in a bad car accident and you survived it, you was a hiker hiking up the mountaintop, you got stuck up there and it got cold and you ran out of water and food, hypothermia, but they found you some kind of way with an SOS or something like that. And you a survivor. I'm just saying, you fell in through the ice and it was freezing cold, 0 below temperatures, and someone came and pulled you out. You survived the fact that someone saw you fall through that ice. Those are things that I'm talking about, because when we talk about somebody that just goes by and touches your buttock, but they just touch it and they shouldn't have did that, and it's a violation. Okay, but throwing this term around as a survivor, I think that Valberg needs to stop this. But this Me Too movement, and I need to say this because there are real survivors out here. There are women that have been through some serious things, molestation, all types of stuff, incest, all types of things. And you throwing this term out here for someone that was just touched or maybe kissed inappropriately. How are they survivors? You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that they weren't violated. Let me be clear on that. And I'm not saying that it's appropriate. Yes, it's wrong when somebody touch you and do those things to you inappropriately. You do feel violated. You do feel, oh my God, I need to wake my lips up and all that stuff. But I'm talking about some things that go beyond just somebody physically touching you. I'm talking about, some stuff, okay? And people, will understand what I'm saying. So here's the definition of survivor: a person who survives, especially a person remaining alive after an event in which others have died. The sole survivor of a massacre. The remainder of a group of people or things. A survivor from last year's team. They were still there, and that didn't have to be nothing bad, but they survived, when everybody else walked away. They might say that. Or a person who copes well with difficulties in their life and they survived all the difficulties, like maybe they had a loss of loved ones, their parents might have passed away, they were in foster care, and other stuff happened to them. But what I am saying, those to me is a definition of survivor. When I think about the term survivor, I do think of things that have happened, really bad to someone. I do think of that, and you made it out alive. That's what I look at. But I'm not trying to diminish or demean any woman that's been violated inappropriately. Because I had a guy touch me, and I'm ready. You know what? I'm not gonna. And when I was young, I was ready to fight. You put your hands on me, we gonna be boxing. You see what I'm saying? And so I just, and I'm wondering if it's because these men have money, and like the DA trying to bring 19 more women in. Let me tell you something. Why would you need to bring that many women in just to say, yeah, he did this to me, knowing that some of them women probably are not even truthful. They had some consensual stuff going on, and then they come out and say, well, he touched me too, and I didn't like it. So now I can get in this case. I can get money. I am so tired of this. And you have the DAs you do have them doing this with the Me Too movement, because it is a Me Too era. And I am glad that this attorney spoke up. We have got to continue to speak up, that these prosecutors are getting caught up in the Me Too movement, and they turning commonplace gestures into crimes. Now, I'm not talking about where he squeezed that woman's breast and kissed. I'm not talking about that. But if you walk by somebody, you happen to accidentally touch them, or you put your hand on their shoulder, and they all of a sudden he touched me inappropriately. I remember a case where I was employed, and this supervisor touched this employee on the shoulder lightly, from what I understood, and asked them to take a patient because the department was registration. And next thing I understood the supervisor was terminated because this employee went to HR and said that they touched her, put their hand on, and it was an innocent touch. And then you got to go back and look at, you're not supposed to be putting your hands on nobody, not even to touch them. So now you have everybody in the workplace saying, "Can I touch you? I'm sorry I touched you. I didn't mean to touch you." And it wasn't, it was in a good way, not a bad way. It was a commonplace workplace gesture. I'm just saying it was a commonplace gesture. Now you cannot touch nobody like, "Oh, hey, how you doing today?" Oh, you have to ask people. Don't put your hands on people because people can go and file complaints on you. Now, fortunately, the supervisor did get her job back. There was witnesses and they said it wasn't like that. Okay, so they had to do an investigation. The person got their job back. So I understand what he means by commonplace gesture. So we should not take things out of context. Now, if someone has truly violated you, they have truly violated you. This is the sexual assault hotline. It's the National Sexual Assault Hotline. It's available 24 hours. The phone number is 1-800-656-4673. You can call it or you can chat with them. You can go to the official website. Okay, and there's a little thing here, link to learn more. All I'm saying is that we have got to use common sense and we have got to get back to a balance in our lives, and we have got to stop throwing these terms around so loosely. A survivor is a survivor, but this stuff about everybody is a survivor when they were in consensual relationships, and I'm not saying nothing with these women, but I'm saying overall, you have women in consensual relationships with men, and when they don't get their way, all of a sudden they filing these cases, and you got prosecutors that are throwing the Rottweiler dogs at these men and wanting to give them years and years in prison, life in prison for uh, consensual, consensual. It was consensual, consensual relationships. Are um they want to bring all these women in, women that were not underage, that have lied about their age. And where is the evidence? We want evidence of these women's ages. We want evidence. Do they have an STD? We need to see evidence. And there is no way that a government, the prosecutors should be convicting people and wanting to sentence them to years in prison when there's no evidence that's been presented from the prosecution side. This has got to stop here. And I'm talking about, overall, but also this Ann Donnelly and the prosecutors Geddes and her team with the R. Kelly stuff and these women. And then, as I said to you all before on all my videos, that God is going to continue to expose the evildoers. He will continue to expose sin. You see that some people now, we have seen it, but you see it now for other people that we don't even know, strangers in other countries, is coming out telling their stories. So when I say these things, understand that God is going to continue to expose evildoers, sin, and wrongdoing. Okay? And so it will come out. What you do in the dark shall come to the light. What you do in secret shall be exposed. So for the women that are sitting here saying that these men are doing these things, either you are a real victim and you have survived some stuff, right? That's okay. But if you not, stop it. Because there's some real victims out here and you're making a bad name for real legitimate victims. When you are a false fake victim, you are doing real victims a disservice. And I am going to speak out about that. I am because I need to. I am because I need to do that. Okay? And so therefore I am speaking out about it, and you can leave your respectful comments below. And people that don't like what I'm saying, you don't have to come visit, because I'm getting tired of these. Because survivor should not be thrown around as a loosely term. So this Balbert, I'm calling you out to let you know, Manhattan Assistant District Attorney Colleen Balbert. You need to go back and find out what the real word of survivor is. Stop making up stuff and throwing this term around really loosely, because that's what you are doing. And it's all with this Me Too movement to try to get the sympathy, to gain the sympathy of the people of something that's probably less than what it really was. And now I'm not saying with the one that I'm just saying there are some situations where it's not like he said, the one that's delusional. I agree with Ref. I never met whoever this attorney is, Rothman, that's his name. Rothman, Rothman. Like he said, he never disputed the waitress, the waitress that he kissed. Cuba didn't. He didn't dispute that. But this other one, uh, he said she was delusional, and she probably is. People can start this. Let me tell you something. People are starting to see through the buffale and the boogie boogie, whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying? People are starting to see through all of this foolishness. And I'm just saying, and there could have been some physical contact, but it don't mean that it led to anything sexual in nature or criminal. I can come up and I don't even have to know you and touch you on the shoulder and say, "Excuse me, how you doing today?" And if you're going to say, "Well, you touched me, I'll file charges." Come on now. We have got to get back to a place of love. God calls us to love people. He calls us to be kind. And so we have got to stop getting into this Me Too movement delusional state of mind to go after people and want to put every black man in jail. And I'm saying, if you did it, you did it. Like the Nature Boy thing, he was showing videos of things he's doing. He's now in jail in DeKalb County. Now he was running allegedly a cult. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is we have got to get back to a place of love, a place of understanding, a place of compassion and kindness. And we need to start being accountable for our actions. And so if you are a victim, please call the hotline number, chat with them, go to their website, do what you do, and they will keep you anonymous. They will not be blasting your name out here. They wouldn't do none of that. They are, qualified counselors to do the right thing. But if you not, and if you say you was a victim, why haven't you made that call? Why haven't you did a police report? And you want to come out when everybody else started coming out and jumping on these bandwagons, victim compensation. We need to stop with this. If you are a victim, we stand with you. We want to help you. We want to encourage you and empower you. And then you need to make better decisions. The women that are out here going up in hotel rooms and they don't know. I don't care if it is a celebrity figure. I've never got caught up in being idolizing people, idols of the heart. I ask God to always remove any idolizing that I might do. Because first of all, I don't know Cuba. I don't know him. I don't know none of these celebrities and public figure people. I don't know them. I've met a few people, yeah, in person, but do I know them enough to be hanging out with them and going up in their room and drinking with them? No. And I'm not going to go to a room where I don't even drink alcohol anyway. But all I'm saying is, because for the salute to the people that you do is nothing, I'm just saying I don't. But all I'm saying is that we as women got to be accountable and make better choices. And I could go on about some other stuff with saying how some of the parents and how they you know, sex trafficking their daughters. Shouldn't the prosecution and Homeland Security and the FBI be getting involved with all of that? Starting to hold these parents accountable too for sex trafficking their children. Come on now. So we have got to get back to a good place in our lives of being able to make good decisions and not be delusional with this Me Too movement. It's called the Me Too movement delusional. That's what they're doing. So the Me Too movement, delusionality, a new word, delusionality. Me Too movement, delusionality. And that's what a lot of this stuff is happening with the Me Too movement era. That's soon gonna go away. See, one thing about it is a lot of this stuff that people are idolizing and making these things and people and stuff their gods. It's only one God. It is only one God. He is the King of Kings, Lord of Lords, and Prince of Peace. He is a healer. El Shaddai, he's all of that. You know what I'm saying? And you can even my chat, bombard my chat respectfully, and you can put every name that you can think of who the real Savior is. He sits high and looks low. Looks low. He sits high, he looks low, and you can tell who the real Savior is. A lot of this stuff is just little gods a little g. Okay, and when we talk about the real savior of the world, it is God with a big G. And all of this stuff is soon going to go away. See, God is holding people accountable. He is. And if a man has done something wrong, he should face his demons and he should hold himself accountable if he did wrong. But he should not have to admit to things that he did not do with these other women. And that's all I'm saying. And this is not victim shaming and it's not victim blaming. So we have got to get to a place of that too. And these women got stop misrepresenting what they say has happened. Stop painting these twisted pictures of the events that have occurred. So um, Cuba, that's your name. I keep wanting to call you Cuba and Cuba, but Cuba, let me say something to you. I don't mean to mess up your name, but look, do what you got to do to, you know, always be humble. Do what you have to do, and so that you can get through whatever you getting through. But this touching people, stop it. Don't touch. Keep your hands to yourself. Put them in your pocket. Do what you got to do, and if you don't, and stay prayerful. If you're not prayerful, stay prayerful. Okay. We just don't want to keep seeing, bad behavior happening. We need to make sure as men that you do the right thing as well and protect yourselves at all costs, but do the right thing. And I'm out of here. I'm out. I'm out. Okay. God bless you all. But wait a minute. One more thing. Thank you for tuning in. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Please leave your respectful comments. And then the copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute and might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, personal use tips balance in favor of fair use. Don't forget to check out my Instagram page. I have some jewelry there, and you might want to get your mom or your sister a gift if their mother is coming up. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me, to DM me, because I am, ready to assist you with that. The other thing is free R. Kelly. Bye, y'all.